In the dense heart of darkest Africa, one of the least known jungles on the planet flourishes. Some of the world's most amazing animals hide in its ancestral shadows. The sun barely penetrates through giant trees and lianas to the wet ground below. This is a murky kingdom of mystery where animals are easily concealed, where presences are perceived, where cries are heard like rumors, but where the varied fauna, with astonishing adaptations to the unwritten rules of the African jungle, is hardly visible. This complex and impregnable jungle is a little-known place and home to many mysteries. Extending across the equator where it bisects the African continent, one of the least known and most impenetrable jungles on the planet, the second largest after the Amazon, grows. The African jungle borders the wide Gulf of Guinea and reaches deep into the center of the continent, covering more than 700,000 square kilometers. The African jungle is home to humans' closest relatives. Surviving here, but beleaguered by deforestation and hunting, gorillas and chimpanzees. The last remaining jungles are both their hiding place and their trap. Here they are perfectly adapted to the dense and hostile vegetation, to the uncertain supply of food, to dangers and to wonderful secrets. Living like this, almost permanently drenched by torrential tropical storms. Water is the element of the jungle. One way or another, it is always present. And so much water, combined with a practically constant temperature of about 30 degrees Celsius, allows the vegetation to grow so luxuriantly that it becomes virtually impenetrable. The amount of rain that falls and is moved by this impregnable jungle conditions the life of all its inhabitants and different ecosystems. And the chimpanzees are able to take advantage of all its environments. In the African rainforest, water may act as a border, but it is also the thread that unites all things. Plants, animals, and ecosystems woven together in a slow and subtle procession. From the dark, unexplored heart of the African jungle emerge rivers, the aquatic arteries that little by little open out onto the savanna. The jungle's rivers and their banks, chaotically intermingled, are home to the most representative and striking fauna of the continent. Some animals that live around the Great River only venture into the jungle when roaming its banks. Around the edges of the jungle, where it's more open, the rivers are populated by gigantic hippos, the third heaviest terrestrial animals in the world after elephants and rhinoceros. Larger males may weigh 3 tons. Hippos employ the Great River to keep their body temperatures down and to prevent their skin from drying out. They will doze or play in the water during the day. While the hippos frolic in the river, herds of thirsty buffalo emerge from the undergrowth. They have come from the nearby plains. Being close to the water allows the herd to relax, and some younger males engage in simulated fights that today are not a serious affair. But one day, in the not-too-distant future, these males will be responsible for guiding and protecting the herd. Warthogs also visit the open margins of the riverbank, sharing it with species of stork and lapwings. These wild pigs look for wet land. They use their front legs to dig for bulbs, roots and tubers, which they rip up with their powerful snout. Warthogs will only occasionally venture into the jungle. But other mammals do the opposite. They only leave the jungle from time to time. They need the protection of its dense darkness. The trees overhang the jungle river with increasing frequency. This is a good place for the kingfisher to go to work. Not far away, someone stealthily surveys the river. On rare occasions, chimpanzees that live in the forest will leave its protection. The small beaches formed by the river are visited from time to time by small tribes of chimpanzees, which investigate this unusual clearing. However, at the slightest sign of danger, they return to the interior of the jungle, where they feel safe and hidden. The pied kingfisher continues its observations. It has nothing to fear. In fact, today, it's good fishing. This bushbuck is a silent witness to the kingfisher's good fortune. The bushbuck, a species of antelope, shares its jungle habits with the chimpanzee. Its coat resembles the play of light and shadow in the jungle undergrowth. And so it is camouflaged from the searching eyes of its predators. The males have horns that are about a hand's length, unlike the antelopes of the savannah. Being so short, they don't cause any problems in the dense undergrowth. The bushbuck is a solitary animal that will only look for food, tender leaves, stems and roots, within its territory. On the jungle floor, it's best to feed alone, as food is not very abundant. One of the few giants of the jungle is only too aware of this fact. Gorillas spend a large part of their lives looking for food. These jungle tenants have a lot of work to do to make ends meet. The lowland gorillas of the Gulf of Guinea region may walk more than a kilometer a day through the jungle to find enough food. Gorillas are the largest apes on the planet and need to consume large quantities of food in order to survive. An adult male is capable of eating between 18 and 20 kilos of food in a single day. Because their vegetarian diet is low in energy, gorillas spend a lot of time feeding. They may consume up to 104 different species of plants. In the canopy above the gorillas' heads, a striking diversity of creatures finds a way to exploit the various layers of the jungle, including the highest, where fruits mature and trees blossom. This is a hive of activity, mostly hidden from view. An extraordinary variety of monkeys lives in the Gulf of Guinea region. The northern or Gabon talapoin is the smallest of the African monkeys. Even the largest males weigh little more than a kilo. Talapoin live in troops of up to 100 individuals which roam the lower branches of the jungle, always staying close to rivers or wetlands. Females with young keep to the interior of the group, their babies born already well developed, at a quarter of their mother's weight. It's no surprise that from under the overhanging branches, dwarf crocodiles watch intently. The African jungle is home to a curious collection of dwarf species. This crocodile, reaching no more than 2 meters in length, is one of them. Despite its size, it's a robust animal. Its scaly skin includes bony eyelids, and its back and nape of the neck are especially protected. Dwarf crocodiles inhabit the small, shallow rivers within the jungle. Within the jungle rivers, pygmy hippopotamus also hide, another oddity found exclusively in this jungle. Although they remain submerged most of the day, they have many adaptations to life on dry land. At first sight, they appear to be very similar to their bigger relatives, but they weigh only about 200 kilos and are thus much more agile, graceful even. This allows them to move through the forest quickly and efficiently. They do this by making use of paths opened up by other animals, such as sitatunga or marsh bucks. These antelopes are solitary animals which frequent the rivers and wetlands of the African jungle. They look for dense areas of forest in which to hide from predators. In contrast to this antelope, which can weigh in excess of 100 kilos, these small duikers are perfect examples of adaptation to the jungle. They are the smallest of the antelopes. Some may weigh as little as 3 kilos. The blue duiker is a true pygmy and can make its way through the thick tropical forest with no problem. The dense African jungle is hung with lianas that rise to the heights, forming a kind of column of plant material. Some areas appear impossible to breach. Only the size of many of the smaller inhabitants allows them to move through this maze, and also to hide from its dangers. These tiny antelopes are an appetizing dish for any hunter. The chimpanzees can move through the forest with ease. Our closest relatives, we share 98% of our genes with them, are unconditional prisoners of these jungles. These apes are very agile and dominate both the canopy, where they move with incredible expertise, and the forest floor, where they comfortably walk. Nothing is beyond their curiosity and inquisitive temperament. Chimpanzees know the secrets of their territory as well as humans know their own neighborhood. This young male knows where to quench his thirst without needing to go down to the river. The skies announce the daily storm, which will refill any hollows in the tree trunks. Some chimpanzees take advantage of this time to go down to the river before the storm is unleashed. In this part of the jungle, right on the banks of the river, a group of chimpanzees has taken possession of several shrubs in fruit. Although chimpanzees form communities that can reach 150 individuals, they normally move in small groups, continually crossing their territory back and forth in search of food. Each chimpanzee will spend up to 8 hours a day doing so. The jungle floor, the home of the chimpanzees, is constantly inundated by the torrential rains. The moisture that results from this encourages small, viscous creatures of uncertain nature, such as fungi, to grow. These are largely responsible for the rapid disappearance of leaves and trunks of all sizes. The fungi are helped by a formidable legion of similarly slimy animals, such as giant snails, In these dark and ancient jungles, they achieve their greatest dimensions. Almost all the orders of arthropods can be found here, from the most varied and beautiful butterflies, which sip water and take salts from the soil, to crickets and grasshoppers with very different adaptations and appearances. Small grasshoppers not only look like the mosses and lichens that grow on the bark of trees and even on the ground, they graze on them, slowly rasping the surface of the jungle giants. Their camouflage is almost perfect. But the smallest movement is all it takes to be discovered by the keen eyes of reptiles on the lookout for food. The jungle waste does not only belong to the tiny creatures. Bush pigs crush and sieve the remains of fruits, small animals and plant debris, as well as mixing up the humus of the jungle floor. They are the most elegant members of the wild pig family. And they will welcome a snack as scarce and exquisite as termites. The termites' ventilation chimneys are true works of architecture, beauty and functionality. Termites are incredible builders. They use wood, earth, and their own bodily secretions to give their astounding designs form. The female workers, guarded over by soldier termites, armed with powerful jaws, do the building work. Termites and ants are important agents of transformation in the jungle. And they are everywhere. Their omnipresence means they are a vital link in the food chain, as they are ingested in huge quantities by many animals, such as this agama lizard. Insects and small mammals, including monkeys, antelopes and rodents, are a highly coveted source of protein. That's precisely what this young chimpanzee is looking for, but during his break, he satisfies himself with this decaying stick. Chimpanzees, unlike gorillas, are not strict vegetarians, although the base of their diet is a varied and abundant selection of plants. But their daily menu does include portions of food of animal origin, about 2%, which they look for in every corner of the jungle. On this occasion, the bounty is a rodent that was hiding among the fallen logs. Before it's eaten, the rodent serves as a toy for the inquisitive chimpanzees to play with for a while. But they're not just playing with their food. Their society is complex, and from very young, they establish strong relationships between other members of the group. So these games allow them to get to know each other and establish ties which will help them to survive in these jungles so full of mystery and danger. And just like the chimpanzees who marvel at their small prey, we marvel at the African jungle, which still offers a place for fun, curiosity and science, the game of knowledge. Here, the great anthropomorphic African apes live in one of the oldest, most stable and unchanging forests on the planet. Where plants and animals have been interacting for tens of millions of years. Evolving together, experiencing the creative forces of nature in their purest and most unadulterated forms.